Amber Glenn was standing in the tunnel of the Milano ice skating arena, her heart pounding against her chest when her phone lit up with a video that altered everything. It was February 17, 2026, just moments before Amber was scheduled to step onto the ice for the most crucial performance of her life, and she received a personal message from the Queen of Pop herself. Madonna had come across a clip of Amber's short program set to Like a Prayer and was so completely blown away that she recorded a direct message to the American champion. Madonna told her, "You are an extraordinary skater, so powerful, so gorgeous, so fearless. I cannot picture you not winning, so I just want to say good luck, go get that gold." Amber was caught on camera covering her mouth in absolute disbelief, her hands genuinely trembling. She whispered, "I am in total shock. I hope I can do the song justice." With the blessing of a worldwide legend still ringing in her ears, Amber Glenn walked out onto the ice. She was no longer just skating for a medal, she was skating for a legacy. She was dressed in a burgundy off-the-shoulder costume inspired by Madonna's unforgettable look from the 1989 music video. It was a daring, provocative decision for a competition held in Italy, a country where the Like a Prayer music video was famously condemned by the Vatican decades earlier. The stage was perfectly set for a masterpiece. The entire world was watching, but in the Olympics sometimes even the most beautiful prayers go unanswered. To truly grasp the heartbreak of what came next, you have to appreciate the first 60 seconds of that routine. When the opening notes of Like a Prayer filled the arena, Amber Glenn did not simply move across the ice, she attacked it. She launched her program with the single most demanding jump in women's figure skating, the triple axel. It is a jump of raw power and precision, demanding 3.5 full rotations in the air. Amber launched herself into the Milano sky and touched down flawlessly. It was the highest-scoring individual element of the entire evening, pulling in over 10 points and sending a thunderous roar through the crowd. In that moment, Amber Glenn looked every bit like the unstoppable blade angel the world had been expecting. She followed it up with a clean triple-triple combination. She was on track for a score in the 80s. She was on track to go head-to-head with Japan's Ami Nakai and Kiori Sakamoto for the top spot. For those first 2 minutes, she was the living definition of the rebel queen, unapologetic, powerful, and technically dominant. She was gliding across that ice with a confidence that seemed to declare that all the social media cruelty and political pressure of recent weeks had finally been silenced. She was the only American woman in history to land that jump on Olympic ice. The gold medal was well within her reach, but then the nightmare arrived. Toward the end of her program, Amber approached a required element, the triple loop. For a skater of her skill level, this is a routine, everyday jump. It is one she completes in her sleep. But as she set up for the takeoff, something in the Milano pressure cooker shifted beneath her. Instead of 3 full rotations, she only managed 2. She doubled the loop. In Olympic figure skating, when a skater does not achieve the required rotation on a solo jump during the short program, the element is ruled invalid and that jump earns 0 points. In a sport where victories and defeats are separated by hundredths of a point, surrendering 7 technical points in a single second is an absolute catastrophe. The confidence that had carried her through the triple axel disappeared in an instant. As she completed her final spin, all the joy had left her face. She hit her final pose and immediately buried her face in her hands. The score appeared on the board, 67.39. Amber Glenn, the 3-time United States champion and one of the heaviest favorites for a medal, crashed all the way down to 13th place. The silence that washed over the arena was suffocating. Her teammate Alyssa Liu, who had been watching from below the arena, was caught on camera with her hand over her mouth, her own excitement evaporating as she witnessed her closest friend's dream fall apart. Amber walked briskly off the ice, keeping her eyes down, and collapsed into the arms of her coach Damon Allen. Through her tears, she could be heard speaking 3 words that will follow American figure skating for years to come: "I had it." So how does the jumps queen of the American women's team fall so far and so fast? The answer has nothing to do with technique and everything to do with the mind. Amber Glenn has been remarkably open about her ongoing struggle with ADHD and anxiety. She has talked about how the competitive framework of the sport, where every single movement is scrutinized and evaluated, can feel like a trap she cannot escape. In the days leading up to the individual finals, Amber was also dealing with a frightening wave of online harassment. After speaking openly about the political environment in the United States and her identity as an LGBTQ athlete, she was flooded with hatred from strangers online. She attempted to go completely quiet on social media, but the burden of that negativity does not simply vanish. And then came the Madonna video. While it was an unbelievable honor, it also dropped one final enormous layer of expectation right onto her shoulders. Just imagine having the Queen of Music tell you she cannot picture you losing, and hearing those words mere minutes before you walk out onto the biggest stage of your athletic career. For a skater who has battled through depression and years of self-doubt, that kind of weight can cut in both directions. Amber admitted in the mixed zone that after the mistake she felt completely untethered and disoriented. The intense focus she typically channels to nail her triple axel may have shifted into an overwhelming awareness of just how much was at stake. One small miscalculation of the blade, one single moment of overthinking, and the 13th place disaster became her reality. She was not just competing against the Japanese skaters. She was competing against every anxious thought swirling inside her own head. We also cannot ignore the music selection. Choosing to skate to Like a Prayer in the heart of Italy is a bold provocation, whether or not Amber meant it that way. Madonna's original music video was notoriously banned by the Vatican back in 1989 for its powerful use of religious symbolism and its exploration of racial and social justice themes. By selecting this particular song, Amber Glenn was fully embracing her identity as a rebel. She was delivering a statement about faith, personal strength, and the freedom to exist as herself. While Amber described the song as being about discovering your own inner power, the choice created uneasiness in certain traditional Italian communities. The Milano Cortina Games are unfolding in a nation with deeply embedded Catholic values, and some observers viewed the routine, complete with the burgundy corset costume, as borderline sacrilegious. Did that cultural friction affect the judging in any way? Her component scores for artistry and presentation remained strong, but they were simply not sufficient to rescue her from the technical wreckage caused by the invalid jump. The Like a Prayer routine was intended to serve as a bridge connecting art and athletic competition, but ultimately the surrounding controversy may have introduced a heaviness into that arena that Amber simply could not push through. She desperately wanted to do the song justice, but standing in the shadow of the Vatican, that prayer went unanswered. The consequences of this 13th place finish extend far beyond Amber's personal medal chances. It has completely dismantled the Blade Angels story that NBC and Team USA had been carefully crafting for months. The trio of Amber Glenn, Alyssa Liu, and Isabel Levito were supposed to be the extraordinary team that finally ended a 20-year individual medal drought for American women. While Alyssa Liu delivered a stunning personal best to land in 3rd place, the shared dream is now hanging by a thread. Isabel Levito sits in 8th and Amber is in 13th. The difference between the two teammates in the mixed zone afterward was genuinely gut-wrenching. Alyssa, the free spirit who stepped away from skating and came back purely for the love of it, appeared completely unfazed by the pressure around her. Amber, who has battled through years of uncertainty and depression just to become a reliable competitor, looked like a woman who had been completely consumed and hollowed out by the weight of the Olympic moment. As one reporter observed, no sporting event devours athletes quite the way the Olympics do, pointing out that we witnessed it with Ilya Malinin the previous week, and now we were seeing it happen again with Amber. This 13th place outcome is a sobering reminder that in figure skating, the distance between a gold medal and a catastrophe is roughly the width of a single skate blade. Amber Glenn arrived in Milan to cement her status as an icon. She finished the evening as a cautionary reminder of the savage psychological cost these games can exact on even the most gifted athletes. What comes next for Amber Glenn hinges entirely on what unfolds Thursday evening, February 19th. She has secured her spot in the free skate, but any realistic shot at a podium finish is essentially gone. She sits 11 full points behind the leader in a field this competitive, and that is simply too steep a mountain to scale. So the real question now is, what does she choose to do with the time she has left? She can play it cautiously and protect whatever remains of her pride, or she can reclaim her identity as the rebel queen and go out swinging. Her free skate is set to the return by Seb McKinnon, a piece that has already stirred its own copyright debate, and one that tells the story of finding your path back from the deepest darkness. There is meaningful precedent for these kinds of redemptive free skate performances. At the Grand Prix final back in December, Amber stumbled on her triple axel in the short program and sank to dead last, only to come roaring back with 8 clean triple jumps in the free skate to ultimately finish in 4th place. Amber Glenn does not need to stand on a podium Thursday night to reclaim her dignity. She simply needs to show the world that she has the strength to rise after a fall. She has already felt the warmth of support from Madonna, Taylor Swift, and the entire LGBTQ community rallying behind her. Now the most important support she needs to find is the kind that lives deep within herself. The individual short program is over and done. The 13th place finish is permanently written into the record books, but the Rebel Queen still has 4 precious minutes left on the ice to finish telling her story. Milan is watching, the Blade Angels are waiting. And Amber Glenn is getting ready to pray one final time.